agitation studies. Right, so let's start with our presentation then. But before we start, let me dedicate this presentation to one of the finest professors which this world ever had. The picture you are seeing right now on our screen is of Professor Randy Pausch. He was professor at Human Computer Interaction Center at this very prestigious university, Carnegie Mellon. And why I am dedicating this presentation to him, because of two reasons. Reason number one is his birthday was day before yesterday, to just 2 days back. So maybe this is a good contribution or dedication time. And the second thing is he introduced one of a very interesting thing in his lectures when he used to teach. He used to teach this, all the artificial intelligence, 3D kind of projection, human computer interaction, all these things all together. And interestingly, in his class, in one of his classes, people from arts, policy, commerce, engineering, of course, computer science, all these people could sit together. And they used to work in a group on a different projects. And that's how kind of a holistic approach or a view to solve any problem was actually practiced by him in his lectures. For like most of us, it's extremely difficult to think how an art person can sit with a coder and they can come up with a college level project with equal contribution from both the sides. So he identified that much potential. And if you have read his book, The Last Lecture, which he wrote before he died due to cancer, it is one of the best book to read. I'm not, in a way, I'm doing a PR free of cost for him, but it's worth reading for a student as well as any professional. Or if you don't have that much time to read that finest book, you can also view his YouTube lecture. It's a 1 hour, 10 minutes lecture on YouTube. If you search The Last Lecture, Professor Randy Pausch, you will get it. It's worth giving time to it. Your time will not be wasted for sure. It will be invested. So that was my dedication. Now coming to the talk. So generally this is a 2 hour lecture. So starting with the ethics right now here. So I can see all of you are in camera off, microphone off, and you may be hearing my voice and thinking from where it is coming. And then you are realizing that it's just an online teacher. So this is also one of the ethical issues these days. We are not in a classroom, right? So maybe your ethics lecture starts from here, that you may be on a bed, or you may be on a sofa, or you may be on a mobile joining this lecture. That's completely fine. But just a little bit of ethics that you should hear whatever we are discussing, right? And try to participate in the lecture, not just like cat who just forget about it and think it as a formality. So our AI algorithm should also be not like that, who just clears the formality, because maybe the attending this lecture is a compulsory thing for you, but attendance is not compulsory as an output, right? As a product, if you see yourself as a product, then your attendance is not adding any value to you as a product, right? The knowledge which you are gaining is adding to your professional life or even personal life. Okay, so these memes will keep coming, don't worry. So I will start with an example. Something happened in August 2019. You guys are now old enough to remember this, where Facebook data leak happened. And then it became a lot of havoc, where even Facebook CEO and all those people have to answer in front of many other so-called kind of society representative people. But of course they answered, they try to come up with some solution or some defense that how this can be stopped. But ultimately the point is, what effect or what kind of changes that event, Facebook data leak, has made on our life. So one way is to, of course, look at it as my data is useless data. Like, I don't care even if it got leaked, right? And I guess most of the Indians thought like that. including Southeast Asian countries. Of course, there are countries or there are kind of culture where any kind of data sharing considered as very kind of a brutal crime in a sense. But here we don't see it as that severe crime. It is leaked, it is leaked. Another meme which I found is, which was actually related to ethics again, that, yeah, my data is worthless, that's fine if they share it. But even I have told a lot of lies over internet that they are not secret, they're just lies, right? And this indicate, or this tells us in a way a lot of things about what data being recorded. A lot of fake profiles, hate speech over internet, those things which we don't want to see the world as. So those things are also there, and all those things AI will be using in this way or that way, right? So Facebook data leak was one of the example. We will discuss this thing again, but just to give you a kind of overview, like these things are actually happening with us. They are not just theoretical thing that we are talking about AI and ethics. These things are actually happening in our life. We have to little bit more concerned about it. Right. So now formally starting this lecture, artificial intelligence and ethics. So the first question is why this lecture is required, right? You guys may say that you are studying artificial intelligence. After 1 year or 2 year or maybe 5 year down the line, you will be expert in the artificial intelligence. You know all about it, right? That this is how cost function can be reduced. This is how you will train your data set. This is how you will remove the imbalances in your data set, all those technical words, right? Right now, you guys are kind of fed up with all those things. Now, artificial intelligence, and then you can say, right, ethics also, I know I'm very ethical person, right? I am not a bad person. I never cheat. I never kill anyone. So I'm ethical. You may say that there's some problem with my cursor. Okay, yeah, you may say that. And what ethics has to do with science and technology? Like, if you start moral policing everything which is part of technology, then it will not grow naturally, right? You are actually cutting it. You are stopping it. You are attenuating the artificial intelligence to grow, right? If you all the time policing it that no, you can't do this, you can't do that, that's not right. And you will say at last, leave me alone, give me a break, let me code, let me make things whatever I want, right? Because you know how to code, and that may be ethical for you to code because you you are getting training for that, training to code, right? So why this ethics thing is coming in action? And I guess this is why the lecture is important, or this is why we need to think about more about ethics in artificial intelligence, because we know both of the things, and we also know that how ethics may be important or may not be important sometimes. So if this is the question, then how my lecture will go now onwards is, I will try to first emphasize on why ethics is important in terms of product making, artificial intelligence, some making the autonomous products. And then we will see how in industry or at any platform we can kind of try to achieve that particular ideal situation where it doesn't remain only on paper that, okay, I have checked this, I have clicked this button and I am ethical, I will not do this. So we will see it one by one. Okay, so now the question comes, can we become more ethical because we have now AI? So can we become more ethical? So of course, I think the answer is no, we can't become, we are ethical, right? We all are ethical. This is our nature. Sometimes we do something bad, sometimes we do many things, or many times we do good things. This is our humanity, right? This is our culture. We are already ethical. So we can't become more ethical now. Now the next question is, so if AI is there, we are already ethical. then does it mean that there is a problem with AI? That's why we are having this lecture. What is lacking in AI? So if that is lacking, then does it mean that we are talking about abandoning AI because there may be some serious ethical concerns towards it? So of course, no. Why we want to do that, right? AI is anyway helping in many ways, so we don't want to do that also. So these kind of extreme wing questions, I say these, like when I talk to people, then these kind of things I used to hear, that they say that, what ethics you are talking about? This is technology, let it grow. People will use it in a number of ways. So then, of course, these kind of things are there. So, but let us not put this in a kind of extreme perspective that we have to become ethical or we have to abandon it. I know we are not talking about it. Okay, so let us start with a discussion, and I want you guys also to answer some of you guys to answer these questions which I have put here. And these questions are asked actually by Mark Spurlock from University of Edinburgh, and they kind of a very serious ethical questions on AI. Like there are actually UAV and drones by America or Israel, or maybe some other countries also have. They have not even disclosed. We never know. But I guess the ethical question here is, should AI be used to kill in warfare? And the second question, ethical question, is like, what kind of ethical rules should a self-driving car use? And if you don't have perspective for the second, because I guess first is self-explanatory, because to kill anyone is not ethical, right? So the second question may be a little bit blurry right now, so I will make it clear. Like 2-3 years back, the self-driving cars encountered some accidents, and it caused human life in that accident. So, and they happen when there is some very complex situation where the AI doesn't know what to do, or it was not trained for that. It has not seen that data before, and then those kind of accident happens. So there comes the kind of ethical concern, like, because as a human, what we do, even we have not seen that situation, ethically we can think that this may be the correct line of action, which will create less harm to everyone, right? So since we are discussing on ethics, so I just want your guys' opinion. Some of you can unmute yourself and at least tell this much, that, right, you think that killing someone in a warfare is ethical. Why not? Like, people do that. And what if we make a robot or a drone which identifies the enemy and kill them? It's completely fine. Or maybe some of you may think that no, it's not fine, right? It's just a human nature. That's why the very big debate is there. So anyone want to volunteer and unmute yourself and just say that what your opinion is on these things right now? We have 7-8 people, right? Yeah, Abhishek.
Yeah, sir. So first one, using AI is not ethical.
There is a lot of noise coming from your end. However, I could get that you said that first one is, of course, not ethical. The second one, I could not get what you are saying. Maybe you can put it in chat, right? And you can mute yourself again, because
Okay,
it's.
sir. Sure.
Oh, now it's completely fine, right? Some problem maybe with your microphone that time. Can you say
Uh,
it again? Yeah.
yeah, sir. Am I clear now?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying that
It's funny. It's again
I'll put
when
it in the chat box.
sure. Okay, by the time Abhishek is putting in the chat box, anyone else want to take this question? Hello.
Hello.
Yes,
Yes.
Ayush.
So I would say no for both. My line of reasoning would be because there would be no way to determine who takes responsibility for the action.
Mm-hmm.
So there
Okay.
needs to be someone who's responsible, because at the end of the day they are just machines, right? So in case they cause some damage which may lead to emotional damage for a lot of people, there needs to be someone who's responsible. We can't have that.
Right. So we can put the responsibility on the operator,
So but then
or
what's the point of AI if there's an operator?
uh, then we will put the responsibility on the coder.
So then I wouldn't want to develop these things.
Right. Yeah. Excellent. So, but this is just a perspective. Is there anyone here who thinks that putting a drone or a robot to kill people, autonomous drones or robots to kill people in a warfare is fine or maybe acceptable? Anyone who thinks like, because I guess they also have some point. Anyone here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Who's this? Atul?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what's your point? Like, why you think that this technology is fine?
Because, sir, my first point is sir, in the war, if we use AI, robot, or some war drone, then it will not cause the death of our soldiers. That's why I would suggest
Right,
this.
right. Very valid point. Very valid point. That so there are two ways to look at this issue, right? The first point was like it's robot is killing. It may kill innocent one. It may not kill innocent one. It may kill the terrorist. It may not kill the terrorist. It may kill the enemy. And then we are thinking that right. So in war we are using them, and we are not sure what it will do. And the other part is if we not use them, then we will have to send our troops. We will have to sacrifice more human life, right? And that may also cause a lot of emotional pain, maybe national level grief, right? And a lot of course efforts, because if a person is going, then you have to take care of their food, their safety, their all those stuff which they put on their body to just save themselves, armor and all. So, but a drone may be cheaper option. So economically that looks good. If you think from your own perspective, then that's look good, right? But maybe the first point is like for a greater good. If no one have this capability of autonomous drones or weapon mounted drones, none of the countries are having this, then maybe the world will be a safer place because everyone will be on the same line. So maybe both of the kind of ideology is having some valid points, right? And we don't know. I personally don't know which is what to do in the case where some countries are having it. So if something will happen, some political disturbance will happen, then of course some countries will use that technology at advantage over some other countries which don't have that technology, right? So it is an ethical question, and people are discussing it since ages, like not in terms of AI, but in terms of any technology, how it impacts our life. There was one comment which came, let me just read it. So can you start recording the session? I think Dr. Arun is already recording, isn't it? Thanks. Okay, yeah. So AI in warfare may not be ethical if a human is running some unmanned vehicle or a drone for a counterterrorism or something similar in order to save soldiers, then it can be made to assist. Yeah, another somewhere in between the two lines, right? Don't use it, use it, and somewhere in between, human in loop, right? You before firing, you see whether you are firing at the right person or not. But still, killing is not right, right? If you ask anyone, killing is not right. But war, you don't kill them, they will kill you. The warfare, there must be some kind of human control. Yeah, excellent, right, Abhishek? Right. So I guess you guys understood what I'm saying, right? There is no clear-cut kind of boundary. Everyone will be having their own perspective, their own answer, their own kind of ethical benchmark to do that, isn't it? And that makes the ethics more complicated, like a puzzle. right? And similarly, go with the second one where like self-driving car, like there are situations we may discuss ahead, but you might have heard about all those situations earlier. So I will move to the next kind of case study example. So this example I'm giving for an autonomous flight, which Aeroflot flight 593, which was going from Moscow to Hong Kong in 1994. It's not AI, but it was initial AI where they put the autonomous things with some training data set, and then they were making a kind of self-learning autopilot for the aircraft. And what happened? This was a new controller, so the pilot put the plane in the autopilot mode, and then you do whatever you can do, right? The aeroplane will keep flying. What the pilot did, he brought his kids to the cockpit, his son and his daughter in the cockpit, and they were playing in the cockpit with the buttons and all, and he was so relaxed that it's just an autopilot. None of the buttons are kind of active in that sense. And then the plane crashes, and every single living life in that plane kind of died in that accident. And when people found the black box, then they decoded it, what happened, why this crash happened. Then they heard that the sun was whatever steering, or I don't know what they call it in terms of aeroplane, what steering, where the pilot goes left or right, or up or down. His son was playing with that, and he was continuously kind of shifting the plane's course using that steering towards its left. And after 10-20 seconds, the plane actually went into the left and crashed because they couldn't control it during that time. And then they identified that what happened, the controller which they made, it was kind of self-learning controller, and it was designed like, even if it is an autopilot, and if pilot is doing something, then the controller will learn from it. Controller will think that controller was doing something wrong, and the pilot is kind of correcting it in a sense, and it will change its course of action. And this is, engineering wise, this sounds like a very interesting thing, right? Real-time learning is happening in 1994. But because it was more than 10 seconds, the sun was like playing like that, and everyone died due to that. So maybe the blame goes to the kid, or the blame goes to the parent, or the pilot who actually brought their kids into the cockpit, which is a very serious offense. But in general, whom to blame? Like programmers who actually thought that this kind of situation may never arise, like they put it out of context. So, or the end user, the pilot, or the policymakers who couldn't make such policy, or the security checks, like whom to blame, or everyone, right? So all these are ethical questions. And this example of how people were thinking, or how the programmer thinks, and how things happen in the actual world, both are very different, or both may be very different, right? And which may cause human life. And as a human, we try to survive, right? And if it is attacking us, right, it was not a war. It was, if the plane would have been in manual mode all the time, there would have been no autonomous flight kind of thing, then maybe that accident would not have happened, right? Maybe. But it doesn't mean we need not to grow, right? Technologically, we have to grow, but what kind of consideration we should put while coding, that is also very important, isn't it? If you guys have any question or any comment, you can always unmute yourself and tell it. One of the comment which I'm getting is, we can get average human error rate, get average AI error rate once AI overperforms human. We can use AI in place of humans. Even if some error happens, it is happening fewer than humans do. Right, that's true. That's true. And maybe we are discussing that whenever that error happens, that simply doesn't happen due to the stupidity of the algorithm. That is the main concern, right? Even if out of 1,000 or out of 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 some error is happening, that should not happen due to the stupidity of the machine, the stupidity of the algorithm. Machine, if there is anything, they will commit error. There is no doubt about it. And this lecture is to make sure those errors need to be made responsible, or need to be made, we need to make sure that ethically we have done everything right, because it is also kind of becoming a weapon. If we have gun, then we have ethical right, we will not shoot anyone, right? Otherwise, we have bullet, we have gun, we can shoot anyone. Why not? But that's our ethical responsibility to not shoot. So all these algorithms are also kind of a weapon. We can use it in both ways. So we have to learn some ethical concerns about it. All right, another example which I will give is the stay. It's a Microsoft tweet chat bot or tweet bot. I don't know what they call it, what they used to call it, tweet bot. If anyone of you have heard about it, it was very, very fine technology of AI in the real world, where what this Tay used to do, they fed it with some how human talk, how human tweet. They trained it with them, and then they put it online. And again, the continuous learning was happening. Like the more people used to tweet to Tay.ai, it used to learn from it that, okay, people are talking about this. This is how people talk. And the objective of Tay.ai is to tweet like humans, like to kind of behave like human talk. So fascinating, right? Like talking to a chatbot, we all know how irritating it is, but this is like a human. Oh, very interesting. But you know what happened in the 2016 when they released it? What happened in less than 16 hours? I'm actually feeling shameful for sharing this. Oops. But this is what they tweeted after learning things from what people are talking on the internet over the tweets. I beep hate feminists and they should all die and burn in hell. This is tweeted by a robot who were trying to pretend or trying to tweet like a human. This is not killing anyone, but this is not moral. This is not ethical, right? And why? Because in a way, we all are corrupted in some sense. That's why there are a lot of hate speeches over internet, and your AI models are all learning from them, right? So maybe the Tay.ai coders should have thought about it, that what is hate speech. Their bot, this AI bot, should never use any hate speech or should never use any abusive language. So they should have put a ethical library somewhere. We will talk about that also. Or they should have put this ethical behavior inside the AI, which right now may look very vague. What this guy is talking about, ethical behavior in an AI. Ethics is a human thing, right? Not machine thing. But now we are talking about machine behaving like human. So we should talk about machine having some ethical knowledge to it, right? And maybe it will come soon. We never know. People are talking about it. All right. So another example is AI-based resume selection rejection algorithm. This was also in US. They made this algorithm. They fed a lot of resume, and they said that this guy selected for this job, this guy selected for this job, and anyone can guess like what happened with this algorithm. What was the pro and cons of this? Anyone? You can unmute yourself and can tell what can be the pros and cons of this.
Sir, if we are hello,
Yeah, go ahead, Vikas. Yes.
sir, if we are learning from the past, like what previous people select, on what measure they select, then we may find some ambiguity in that, because previous people may be select on the basis of some priority given to some people that may reflect in your algorithm also.
Right. So that's called AI bias. You already having 2-3 lectures, I guess, on the AI and ethics. So that is particularly called AI bias. AI may be resist your algorithm which you are making, which using some data set, and you're thinking that the previous data is sufficient enough to train the model. Of course, it is sufficient enough, but you know what? It will commit the same mistake which human has committed. Humans are racist. We all are racist in a way, in this way or that way, small way or big way. Yeah.
Sir.
Vikas, anything else?
No, sir.
Okay, thanks. So, and the algorithm will learn from it. So, and if you think that you will use data set and you will also use some set of rules, but I don't know what kind of set of rules you will put for ethics. It sounds very odd to me, right? And if you put some rule, then how it will remain artificial intelligence? You are anyway giving the rule to the model, but your AI models are becoming racist. And you know what happened with this? For all those jobs where kind of a little bit of physical strength was required outside, like field work and those kind of stuff, the AI bot used to reject all female candidates, because from the past data, it is evident that in those fields, less or very less female candidates are working. So it simply learned from that. The females are not good in those kind of jobs, but you never know, right? You never know. So AI can be racist. We will also come to this later. Now we will quickly go through all the problems of ethics with AI, which you may have seen, but we will simply discuss, because the point where I want to reach, unless I make all these kind of background, I will not be able to convince you that that's why that is important, right? And maybe you already know it, but just bear with me. So one of the problem which people say that with AI is unemployment. It will increase the unemployment. Everything will be automated. There will be no need of labors, right? Machine will do everything. But isn't it the same old-fashioned argument which we made, or humans made, when computers came? Like, people used to protest against use of computer because they thought that it will take up their jobs, right? But what happened actually? I think that may be my personal opinion, but I think when computer came, then unskilled laborers lost their job, of course, putting files from here to there, this office to that office, those kind of thing, unskilled laborers. But skilled laborers, the job increased, right? People will get trained how to operate this, how to operate that, more manufacturing will happen. And that's how we are now, one of the computer products is also AI. So we are growing in that sense. So this happens, I guess this point happens with every other engineering marvel. Like, if anything comes, people say, oh, this will take up your job. It may take up our job, right? But we are talking at a large scale, right? And the impact may be scary at this time, because we have till now gathered a lot of base, and whatever we will do with AI will have a huge impact. And maybe the unemployment, or increasing unemployment, or unskilled unemployment will in a way lead us to a new form of inequalities. Right now we know what kind of inequalities in the society. There are laborers, they are economically backward, right? But maybe after all these AI, we will move towards post-labor society, where no human labor will work, but all the things will be done by autonomous robots, AI-powered robots. And that this Julia Bossman from Fathom Computing, she She called it post-labor society. And this post-labor society, new forms of inequalities will come. How the wealth transfer will happen. There are many things which are unanswered right now. We can't even imagine how world will be in that case. And I am quite sure we are quite convinced that over a period of 100 years, maybe I'm saying more 100 years, maybe in 50 years, we will see all these kind of technologies coming in action. The rate with which we are all growing, right? All these things is supposed to happen. Like 50 years back, no one would have imagined that we will be this much advanced by now. And now 50 years ahead of the line, the technology curve is always exponential. It never goes linear, it goes exponential. New generation are coming. You people are now already know what is there, so you people grow more fast. So technology will grow more fast. So one of the problem is the new form of inequalities will come, which we may have no idea how to deal with. So these are the ethical questions. Humanity, this is another very interesting, and I guess we can have few real, like already happened examples for it. One of the example is Turing challenge, 2015. And if you don't know what this challenge is, then people create AI bots, chat bots, and there are judges, panel of judges. They try to talk to them, and they have to identify whether on the other side of the chat bot, that window, whether it is a computer talking to them or it's a human. And this Eugene Guzman, this bot kind of more than half of the judges couldn't recognize this particular bot, that whether it is bot or not. They said that more than half of the judges said that it's a human talking to them, which is so fascinating to hear, right? That so much intelligence, I don't know whether you should call it intelligence or not, but so much clean technology in a way of a chatbot that people don't recognize it, whether it is a bot or a human. But this raises a very serious concern, because of serious concerns of humanity. And you may like it, you may not like it, but there are people in Tokyo and then China, like they are marrying robots, AI powered robots. This Akihiro Kondo, the famous, very famous, even in newspapers, his story came up. He married a hologram, AI powered hologram. I don't know how kind of humanity view towards all these things. It's his life, he can do whatever he can, right? But what if it used to happen on a large scale? We never know what kind of problems we will face, right? Those are the kind of societal challenges. And the humanity kind of, there is a very basic thing of a human is this humanity, right? We engage with humans in such a way that we try to maintain that. And now we are trying to do the same with a bot, with an AI powered bot or non-AI powered bot or whatever, with a machine, which may cause a ethical concern. There are good things also, like why this is here, I need to, okay, oops. Yeah, so in one of the, like Osaka University, they created a human bot, and this is a very nice example how this can be used for a very good cause, like to assist and support humans during their mental illness. And these bots are trained to kind of the way they talk, the way they do the counseling, or the way they kind of treat people. It made them feel happy in a sense, and then they can come out of their depression kind of scenario. So I don't know whether any misuse of such technologies or not, but of course, right now it looks like a very nice technology, right? The way human and machine are interacting and helping each other. So there are multiple ways. The point which I wanted to highlight is that there are multiple ways we are interacting with computers or AI powered computers. And there can be some repercussions of that after, which right now we are not able to see, but after some point of time we will see that. Artificial stupidity, which I highlighted earlier, like machines will make mistake, everyone make mistake, right? We cannot reach to the ideal situation, but there can be some, as some of you highlighted in the chat, that sometimes we may be better, sometimes machine may be better, and that's how we can learn and we can grow, right? So there will be artificial stupidity, and that self-driving car was one of the great example. If we take that example once again, then if the self-driving car, what people do generally when they teach or try to understand the ethical concerns with this self-driving car, they take example that car is there and car has only now 2 ways to go. If it stops, then there will be a huge or a very severe accident will happen, because car is at a higher speed, so every car on behind it will get like collision will happen, and that may result into a severe damage. So they give that you can't stop, you have to go. Now if you go left, then you will kill 2 children. If you go right, you will kill a bunch of old people, and you have to choose one, what you will do, right? So, and then the car has to decide we will have to see what the car will do, whether it will hit here or here. I don't know what's the correct answer. Someone may say that just stop, you never know what is going to happen, why to kill, like you just stop, let the god decide what happens. Someone may say that no, that you are knowing that there will be severe accident, why not to kill the old people, because they have already seen their life, but who gave you the authority to kill? But if you don't kill them, you have to kill the children, right? So all these may lead to some stupid actions by the AI powered bot or a car, right? And maybe it has taken a decision, and then it thinks that, oh, it never see this data, and then some bug happens, and then it do more kind of worst actions after that, right? So all these scenarios, I think, are not explored a lot, and people are still exploring because they are not very simple to answer. We have already discussed the second thing, which is another problem, which is AI bias, right? The AI can be racist. One example which I want to give is this compass. Compass is, let me see where they used it. Yeah, compass, they in Wisconsin, US, this particular algorithm was used by the judges in court, and this particular algorithm was made. This used to see the profile, from where the person is coming, what kind of ethnicity is, what kind of previous track record it has, and a lot of bunch of things about that person who is convicted or who is under trial. And then when judge try to give the punishment that, okay, you have theft a car, so 5-year jail sentence to you. And before that, they check this software compass, and they get a kind of feedback, not feedback, but they get kind of what the AI thinks based on their profile. And then AI read all the data set and previous all the sentences, and the AI says, no, it's not 5-year sentence, he should be given 10-year sentence, because the chances of him committing that mistake again after coming out of the jail is higher. So I am 89% sure that he will commit the same mistake again. So his sentence should not be 5 years, his sentence should be 10 years. And then judges just change their sentence, okay, not 5 years, 10 years, and then go sleep well, because I have used a technology which is unbiased in a sense, right? I may be biased, but this is technology saying me that this guy will do, I'm convinced. So this was actually people were using this technology compass, and then this ProPublica, this organization, found out that the compass was biased against the black people. When, like, for most of the cases, when black people committing mistake, then the compass says that he will commit, or he or she will commit the same mistake again. That's higher chances are there. Of course, because there are a lot of previous data related to black people like that, right? So compass was racist in a sense, and they removed it when they proved it. And I think this is one of the most immediate dangers of AI. Like we just think that AI is a god, and we don't think what is inside AI, right? Most of the people, even at IIT Bombay, I have seen, or I have worked with multiple other universities, but most of the people, they need to understand that AI is as good as the data, and data is as bad as us, right? So if you're trying to make a societal change, or a technology which is interacting or dealing with people's life, you should be that much sincere, right? We cannot afford compass kind of algorithms in human society who give us authority to increase anyone's sentence, or even think that he or she will commit the same mistake again or not. So this, from my perspective, it is one of the immediate dangers. People are just utilizing because they have this technology, so they will use it, right? You have the data, so why not to use this data set? That's as simple logic as that. I have a lot of data, I will use it, I will make the AI algorithm. That's problem with AI. Resume sorting we have already discussed. That was also a racist AI example. And then this security or misuse of destructive use, which we discussed initially when we were talking about the drones, autonomous drones, and then those things. Another part of is it hacking, like, right, the coder has created, the product developer has developed the product. Now, whose responsibility is that to make that secure enough that no one else can hack it and use against the human or any other bad activity? Whose responsibility is this? So isn't that an ethical obligation to the coders also, that they need to make that unhackable, which can't be corrupted by others, so that thinking that if that happens, then that will cause a lot of severe damage to the society, right? So we need to think on all these lines, like who will take responsibility, like who will put these things in the AI, that no, that even if it is hacked and someone wants to do something, AI knows that no, this is not ethical, right? Because hacking will happen. You make a model, someone will hack it. You make another unhackable model and someone else will hack it. But why not your model can be intelligent enough, not a professional fool, intelligent enough to know, no, even if someone has hacked me, that's fine, you control me, but if you ask me to bomb here, I will not, because that's unethical, right? So these kind of technology may help. Manipulation must be, all these technology must be robust against manipulation. No one should be able to corrupt it with some sort of data set, like we have seen in the case of that flight accident, where that kind of manipulation that get done, right, unknowingly, and then that crash happened. All right, so before we go to this example, any one of you has any comment or any concern till the point where we have highlighted the problems with AI right now, whatever AI technologies we have, or if you want to add anything or any comment? Tick, tick, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, no, time's up. All right, so we will move ahead, and I will take another example and we can discuss a little bit on this, because this is very interesting example for me. So in, I guess, Saudi Arabia, there is a sports like camel riding where the camel race they do. And there is a very unethical practice which was happening due to this camel race. Maybe some part in the world, some part of the world, some children were enslaved and they used to feed them only once a day so that they can become lean and thin and lightweight. They grow less. And but they are sufficient enough to ride a camel and intelligent enough to kind of use their stick to beat the camel so that it can run faster. And people used to enslave kids for this particular race because this very economical for them in a sense. And then somehow government banned it, and then people come up with maybe not people come up with due to that, people were working before that, because people wanted a very lightweight but effective technology which they could put on the camel's back so that camel can run faster because that's very lightweight. So people come up with a robotic jockey, robotic camel jockey. Very interesting. It's very lightweight, few kgs or grams, I don't know. And then it's with one hand it keeps the camels, that all the ropes, and then with another hand it keeps beating the camel's back so that camel run fast and all those cars just pass from nearby. And this has solved multiple problems. This has solved problem of the camel owners or the racers, that they need not to enslave anyone, or they need not to kind of go into the moral obligation for those kids now, because there is no human involved in it. But PETA guys may say that still camels are being tortured for this particular race. That's another aspect which should be looked into. But now talking about the slave kids, now they're not used for this anymore. So maybe now the kidnapping will be less. Maybe now the enslaving will be less because of this less opportunity. Maybe they are doing it for some other things, I don't know. But at least one of the engineering technology has unintentionally solved the enslaving problem, right? Now, due to this technology, maybe some children are not enslaved anymore. But is that technology built to make those children free, or that technology is built to help the camel owners and the race management? That's a big question, and that's the ethical question. Every other thing is maybe just the byproduct of that, which may be good, may be bad, as we have seen in multiple cases. But with what intent the technology has been created, that is very important in long run. Like whenever we code, or whenever you will code in future, you should think on it, like with what intent you are creating it. If the intent is not right, of course that not ethical. But even if intent is right, but there is a chance that it can be misused in some way, then the ethical question will come, because you will be responsible in a way for that, not legally but morally, right? Because right now you know that there are ways in which you can train your model ethically also, or you need to work on that, right? Anyone has any comment on this camel example, camel jockey example, like which I might have missed, some observation? Anyone awake? Anyone can unmute and at least tell me.
Yes, sir, we are there.
I know you are there. Yeah. Okay. So now taking that discussion ahead, now the thing which I was talking, like with what intent you are making. So one is called implicit ethical impact, and another thing is called explicit ethical impact. And implicit ethical impact is almost every system, which whatever AI system you're seeing right now is having some implicit ethical impact where it was not made to solve the ethical issues. It was made to solve some issues, of course. And as a byproduct, it is solving some other issues also, which may be ethically right or not, right? Or creating some more issues which may be ethically right or not. And this happens not with AI, this happens with every other technology or infrastructure or whatever. So do we need the implicit ethical impact kind of technology, or we are looking for explicit ethical impact, where explicitly we have to also tell the system that these are the ethical rules in which you need to work, right? And currently it's difficult to find such technologies where explicit ethical impact training has been given. And that is what we are trying to achieve, and people are now started discussing about it. We will also discuss about it a little more. Now, coming to another case study, which is very popular Google case study, and this will need some discussion from your side also. So if you know about Project Maven, what Google did, they collaborated or signed an agreement with the US Department of Defense to make the autonomous bombing without human in a loop, like their drones, this Maven will identify the target, that they will identify, okay, this person, this vehicle, right? And just drop it whenever find it without any human kind of signaling. And Google was working on it. And then their employees resigned due to this thing, because they thought that this is unethical. And if you don't know it, then it may be a little surprising for you that company like Google, people resigned due to this ethical concern. Seriously? What I know is company ask you to sign a document before hiring you in, that whatever company's policies are, whatever company decision will be, you will respect that, you will work towards that, right? And this project was signed by the very senior authorities of Google with US Department of Defense, and you are saying that you will not make such product? For me, at first sight, it looks like they broke some legal law or something, right? Because they said that they will not do this, which company asked them to do in a way, on an ethical ground. Something similar happened a few months later, where again, many employees kind of signed a petition to tell Google that don't work on this project, because the project was for Chinese government, a very customized software to do multiple things, to identify people, to do this, that, based on n number of things. And then again, this revolt from employees happened. And this is the time when people are very less aware about the ethical issues or AI and ethics. We were all trying to kind of reach the newer heights in AI technologies. So why not let us have this technology, let us have that technology, right? If you see the news reports, like, then what revolt has happened, that this Maven style internal revolt, that 1400 employees signed a letter demanding more transparency from Google's leadership on ethical issues, saying Google employees need to know what we are building, right? The company just said that I need this particular piece of code which does this, but they don't know for what it will be used for, right? That is very important. If you're a coder, you should know it. Now, currently, we do not have they said that currently we do not have information required to make ethically informed decisions about our work, our projects, and our employment. Google employees are saying that. Another cutting of newspaper, like Google's management are clashing over ethical issues again, and companies plan to create censored products for China, as I indicated earlier. And there were people working for this, and they said they can't work. Even some of them resigned. Now, what discussion I want to have here, I want to know your guys' input, that what do you think? Like, was it ethical for them to revolt, or what exactly can be solution for this kind of scenario? If you are some manager or some decision maker in a company, what kind of approach you will take for this? Anyone from the class? Yeah. Or you want? Okay, nice. Who is this?
Sai Kirtana, sir.
Yes, please go ahead.
So as mentioned here, transparency is very important, sir. As employees, we must know what we are working on. That will be more ethical for us to understand what we are working on, what we are building, as it's going to make a change in the society.
Okay, that's right. Transparency. They should know that what they're building. But my question, one of my question was also, do you think that employees revolting against their company when they have already signed an agreement that they will do whatever company will say, is that ethical at first place?
Maybe that's a means of achieving what they would like to achieve. Like if the management is not listening to their concerns, then it's a way of testing against them.
All right, all right. Yeah, so of course transparency is one of the key solution. Um, Anyone else want to say something? Yeah, maybe I will take names then. Vikas, are you listening to us? Can you give any kind of overview what you think on this?
Yes, sir. I just say if there are a group of people who concerned on some actions of a company, yes, they have a right to revolt. Uh, Even if they write some sort of agreement in starting, but it may hold in some cases. But when some extreme decisions come from the company, they may not hold.
Okay, and what about the solution? What do you think on the solution? Like what company should do now?
Companies should talk to all the stakeholders and explain what they try to do and put their perspective about the project.
Okay, okay. And what if it is very clear that whatever they are building, the code or the model will be used to kill people, or will be used to identify some ideological persons which are not working as per government ideology or something like that? Then what?
Yes, sir. Then this, I think, in that case, the project is not good as the humanity. So, I think worker who is working should resign or not work for that
No, no,
project.
that's fine. But as a company, what you think is the right action? Like, if you don't have
Mm,
answer, then that's fine. But I just want to think.
Okay, sir. If we can modify the project, we can change the project. Maybe
Yeah,
some slight changes in the proposal of the project.
yeah, I guess that's what Google did. They made the slight changes in the project, and we will discuss how that impacted multiple other things. Yeah, anyone else has any comment or concern here? Thanks, Bikash. Okay, no comment. Okay, then let us see critically what happened here. So, number one is, if you think, then a company like Google collaborating with US Department of States on a project, of course that project was to make the autonomous bombing, this thing. At first place, we should see there was a revolt from the companies. It means the employees were not educated, but what you call kind of enlightened enough to know what is right, what is not. Like whatever they are building, in a way, they will be responsible for all those killings which that drone will make, right? That's why they kind of revolted. That's the first thing. So that's all the coders, the product developers, they should have that much ethical awareness. I will rather say that what is right, what is not. Your demand should be clear, that as Sri Sai, I guess, said, that it should be transparent. You should be knowing that what you are building, right? You just don't build anything. These things are there. Now, there is one more thing. Like here, Google, if you see it critically, then Google was having a work culture where employees can revolt like this, right? Generally, for many other industries, if you see, if you go against the company, next day you will get a termination letter. But Google didn't do that. Google didn't do that. So it means Google's work culture allowed their employees to do that. And what Google did in order to correct that, Google came up with a set of principles that on what sort of projects Google will work. You can find that principles on this particular website, Google ai.google/principles. And they clearly mentioned that these are the projects they will work. These are the projects they will not work on. Like, and they also said what are the kind of ethical aspects to that, like be socially beneficial, avoid creating or reinforcing unfair bias, which is the racism we discussed earlier. We build the tested for safety, right? That safety thing, autonomous cars, these things we discussed. Be accountable to people, right? We are building it for people, so we have to consider all those things. We are accountable to them. Incorporate privacy design principles. That is very important. Uphold high standards of scientific excellence. And these things are very bookish kind of language, but they have come up with this. Excellent. Oops. Then, and they also said that on these projects, they will not work. If you see this, then number one is technologies that cause or likely to cause overall harm. Overall harm. See this word. I don't know what is overall harm. Killing the enemies is a good and not considered as overall harm. I don't know. Where there is a material risk of harm, then also we will proceed only where we believe that the benefits substantially outweigh the risk and will incorporate appropriate safety constraints. So they will proceed only where we believe that the benefits substantially outweigh the risk. So who will decide that? Who will be deciding that now the benefits are more than the risk? Who will do that? Not clear. Weapons or other technologies, second one I'm reading, weapons or other technologies whose principal purpose or implementation is to cause or directly facilitate injury to people, they will not do that. Excellent, clearly written. Technology that gather or use information for surveillance, violating internationally accepted norms. There are very ambiguous laws, however, international laws. Something which is acceptable in some country may not be acceptable in some country, and something very different may be applicable for the international waters. So, but it was written, no problem. So technologies whose purpose contravenes widely accepted principles of international law and human rights. Okay, right. So human rights should not be violated, but all these are just rules, not still went into the AI. These rules are still, people will read it and they have to do something. And then they made some conclusion, which you can of course read. I will rather encourage all of you to go to the site later and read all these things one by one, what they came up with after that. And they convinced their employees that they will not entertain themselves as a company on those automatic bombing drones or sensor projects. But what happened? Of course, they come up with what happened with the project. It was already signed. So what they did, they said that, okay, we are not bombing anyone, like we are not using this technology to that, but what we are using this technology for is to identify certain people, certain things, so that we can do the surveillance thing in a better way, right? And surveillance is fine, right? You are not harming anyone using surveillance, but maybe that's doing the surveillance, and later some human operated drone will go and give the bombing. So only that thing will be removed. Like there is no autonomous drones which are dropping the bomb. So I guess the intent of the Google employees was to stop creating such technologies which can kill people in any sense. That may be the intent, right? But of course, with some rules and regulations, you do this technology will only be limited to that. But maybe the outcome of that technology after some junction, someone will be killed. You never know. So there is a term called ethics washing and ethics policing. So what Google did is, of course, a good thing, a example for other companies, right? You give your employees a platform where they can discuss this thing, they can revolt even if required, right? Otherwise, how we will grow? So Google did that very well. And then Google did ethics washing, because they come up with a set of rules for the employees that, okay, this is what we, or for the company that this is what we will do. But who will do, how it will be done, that is not yet clear, how it will be done, right? This need to be done, but how it need to be done? Putting ethics in a machine, impossible. Looks like impossible, but not impossible, though it will come one day. So Google did, in a way, ethics washing by putting the rules and regulations and principles, right? That is ethics washing, to avoid ethics policing, which the employees were doing. That, no, this is wrong, I will not do this, you are doing this wrong, you are doing this wrong. That is ethics policing, because this is not ethical. So to remove this, generally most of the companies do ethics washing. They come up with if you see any big company, any big IT company, you will get this AI and ethics rules or principles on their website. But no one is using a ethical machine to club with a AI system, so that AI system take ethical decision. So that is a very interesting part. Just give me a sec. Just give me a sec. Okay, all right. So we'll go ahead. Where is sharing screen? Here. Right. So using ethics language and giving the appearance of doing ethics to avoid ethics policing is ethics washing, right? And that's what we should refrain ourselves from, ethics washing. And also we don't want ethics policing. That's not good. Ethics, no one likes ethics policing, right? We don't want to be moral policing, ethics policing. Who are you to tell me what to do, what not to do? We don't want it. So the term, instead of ethics policing, the term we should use is ethics puzzle solving. And why the ethics puzzle solving? Because ethics is a kind of puzzle, because there are many ambiguous things in ethics. When we see, like, we are talking what is good. Good can be different for different people, as we discussed initially. Some people think that no, killing is at all not wrong. Some people think that no, if you're killing someone who is going to come to kill you is fine. Someone will have a somewhere in the middle ground, right? So good, bad, all these things are kind of puzzle, and people are discussing this since more than 2005 years ago. People are discussing what is good, what is bad, what is justified, why autonomy is required or not required, well-being of people, fairness of the system. So all these are a kind of puzzle we have to answer in terms of AI. And all these things are actually in a boat. All these, like what is good, justified, and all these things which I have mentioned here, if they are in a boat, then that boat, where it actually floats? That boat floats like in the ocean of philosophy. So actually ethics is a part of philosophy. And now what we know is we need to use philosophical concepts along with the AI systems. And if you see how philosophy comes, then of course philosophy is a kind of the modern documentation about ethics. Philosophy we saw in by Socrates around 470 BC earlier. However, you can debate on this, that no, even if you see the sculptures like Ramayana, Mahabharata, they are all full of ethics. They discuss only the ethics, that this is right, this is not, this is right, this is not. That's why I have written modern documentation, not the ancient documentation. Maybe you can take the ethics lessons from there also. That may also be one of the good input data for a machine learning model, who knows. And what is artificial intelligence? Ethics is of course very old, people are discussing it, but still everyone is having different ethical standards, but more or less we all know that what is right, what is not, more or less. And then artificial intelligence, which is very new, in a way brand new thing, and now we are trying to use this ancient thing into this very modern thing, right? So we look little bit into the ethical kind of things here, and we will try to fill this up, because this is important. Because when you will be making a decision whether it is ethical or not, as a coder or as an artificial intelligence creator in future, then you have to little bit be in the golden mean, right? You need to be here. You can't be excess of these feelings, actions or feeling, or neither you can go into the deficiency of these actions or feeling. You need to be at the golden mean. And I will not fill each of this. You can find the lecture of Professor this from the University of Waterloo. This is the link. I can share the PPT also later. You can see his link where he has explained this thing very clearly. But when you have a kind of a golden mean of fear and confidence, then what is that situation? That situation is actually courage, right? So that's where, if anything related to this has to be discussed, then you have to be in the golden mean. But now the question is, who will decide what is mean, like what is access, what is deficient? They're a very thin line, and every coder or every person will have their own golden mean in a sense. And when they succeed, we call it courage. When there is a pleasure or pain, we call it temperance, like neither excess nor deficient. And when you have a very right amount of anger, not excess or not deficient, then that's called patience, right? And if you have all three as a human, then people call you, or people see you as a kind of idol figure, because you will be courageous enough, you will be temperance enough, as well as you will be patience enough, which is the three most important quality of anyone, especially also in the industry or any company, right? You should be courageous enough to take challenges, right? You should be patient enough to work on a challenging issue so that you get a result, right? Because it's a complicated, so you may not get in 1 day, 2 day, it may take 6 months. So all these things may happen. And all these properties somehow has to go into your AI bot or your AI system. Otherwise, it will not be intelligent, but it may become a professional moron, which we will see later. Some more like thing about ethics washing, and I will try to finish it soon so that we have some time left for question and answer. So I'm still calling it ethics washing because all these things are on paper, they look very nice. Like we will manage the data, store it, collect it, and privacy, all the rules we will follow. And we know they are important, but we know how we take it. When we install any app in our mobile, we just get yes, 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 give all the access, yes, yes, and we use that app. I have never read that big just documentation. I just go at the bottom and I just click yes, and that's it, right? Any software you install in mobile or in your laptop, right? So we don't read that because we think that is not important. But what is happening? Companies are using that data. in a good way, in a bad way. You may say that, what if they even use the data? What if my Google Home Mini kept in my room is listening to me? What's wrong in it, right? I don't know what's wrong in it, but I somehow hesitant towards it, because they can use it in various ways. Data, they have your data, they know your attitude. That's what happened with Cambridge Analytica, where they used your social media posts to know what kind of ideology you have, and then during the elections they can target you, they can send you those kind of posts or those kind of ads which can influence you just before the voting day, and you will be very fit that, right, here I have to vote, because I have seen a lot of you will be fed with a lot of information like that, right? So they can use it in multiple ways. Those malicious practices should never be acceptable, right? Even in the US elections, they said that Russia, it's just a claim, I don't know whether it's right or not, but may be true, may not be true, but they said that there was Russian interference in those terms to kind of change the results or something, I don't know. But you see, these are very serious concerns, right? If something happens to democracy due to this unethical AI practices, right? So it is not just limited to you, it is now spread to the whole humanity, that's why this ethics question is very important. And we just can't do ethics washing by putting a lot of regulations and rules and terms and conditions and signing it everywhere without knowing why we are doing that. But anyway, we are doing it, right? So I don't think all these are solution. However, these things are important. You need to sign it, right? You need to give the consent. So this is just a consent. This is not a solution. Data policy, right? Transparent system. Every company will write that they will make a transparent system. There will be right of data collection. They will ask the user before collecting data. Yes, they do ask before collecting data. And they also say that the data will be used for so and so purpose, but no one reads it. So it's just for consent. It's not the solution. Freedom of leaving system. I have a very good example of freedom of leaving system. There are some softwares which, if you have installed it in your laptop, you can't uninstall it from the control panel because it will not show it over there. They make the uninstalling process so complicated that sometimes you will feel that, oh, better not to uninstall, just leave it like that. And it will be in your laptop like a malware, recording all the data or sending it somewhere. Data deletion, for example, if you have posted something on the Facebook profile or Twitter or anywhere, any social media, if you want to delete all your data, do you know everything will get deleted and nothing Facebook will be using, or whatever it has used, what happened to that? So we don't have a clear-cut idea about those things right now, but we have given the consent, not a solution. As they say, you have already read this, maybe read this in some of the papers or in some of the talks, that AI should be fair, explainable, robust, transparent, data privacy should be there. All ethics washing, because all these things are still on the paper. Someone has to implement it, right? And this is called the curse of blessedness of artificial intelligence. We have a very strong, very cutting edge kind of technology, artificial intelligence, but we are blessed with it, but this is a curse in a way that we are not able to kind of regulate it. Instead of having those many regulations, technically we are not able to regulate it. I guess we have already discussed on this that all these apps are already recording data from us and using it in multiple ways, which are may be good, may not be good. Pros and cons are, of course, you will say that they are making my life easier, right? Their ease of doing things. I book a ticket and within 1 or 2 hours, I start seeing the ads that if I'm going to Hyderabad, then Hyderabad has these places which you can visit. These are the hotels which you can stay in. They are very good hotels, right? And I have heard in US, they also send, these are very acceptable, right? They're making my life easier in a way, right? That they know I'm visiting. So they are kind of giving me options. Very good. I'm happy with that. But what in US some people have found that they send them casinos details that if you're visiting, this is a very good casino, and then they show them the ads where they provoke them in a sense, because if you see one thing multiple times, you will at some point of time you will think, oh, why not, let's go there, right? So they may try to convince you in a digital form to do something which may be unethical, right? So there are pros and cons to it. I guess one more thing which we can discuss is Google Duplex technology. This is very recent one, Google Duplex, and I think you guys might have seen the recent Google where Sundar Pichai came and he gave that presentation on Google Duplex. And what this does, that there is a bot who talk to in a saloon to book the reservation, or the bot can talk to restaurants or anywhere in a human voice, not in a bot voice. And the other guy in the saloon or the restaurant, they don't know whether it is who is calling it, whether it is a bot or it is a human. And such a cutting edge technology, right? So you may think that why not, it is saving my time, the bot is making call for me, I will just ask my Google Mini in a sense, like that kind of product, that okay, book my appointment at this time and they will do it, will save my time, good for humanity, right? Why I will waste my time on such thing? Make life easy, will always be polite, because they will, given that they are not learning what other people has said, right? Otherwise it will be same like that T.ai, sorry, that it will learn from what the reply they are getting, and if the reply is abusive and all, then the AI will also learn from there. And there can be cons also, like Google Assistant voice act like a human and deceive other humans on the other line of a phone call. So it is actually, now it looks like quite unethical, because you are kind of deceiving the other person, your own race you are deceiving, that a bot is not calling, some person is calling. And what if people misuse it to make multiple calls to a restaurant or somewhere and try to impact their business, right? There can be multiple misuse, which may not be fatal, but of course not good for some business. So these things has to be discussed, right? Now, what can be the solution for ethics for AI? Now, coming to the solution part, everything till now ethics washing we have seen is just rules and regulation. So do you think, again, I am putting it as a rhetorical question, that make terms and conditions and ask the users to agree to it first, and ask your employees who are the coder that read these principles, and you can't go beyond this principle, or you can't disobey the principles. Is that the solution? Will that solve the problem? I don't think so. That's not the solution. Or government may make very strong regulation that if you misuse this, then you will be punished heavily, right? Will that solve? Maybe at some level it may solve, but in India, there are rules for hanging people for some crimes, but still those crimes are happening, right? Murders are happening, rapes are happening. You can't stop people to do something which is bad. It's nature of the people. It's the world how we are, right? And we don't want our AI system to be like us. We want our AI system to be like the way we want to be in future, right? More sober, more sanskari in that sense, less crime, right? We don't want our AI system to do all those crimes which we are doing. No. So I don't think these are the solution. However, they can be a consent or a kind of reactive measures, that if you do it, then you will get punishment, so that some people will refrain themselves to kind of tweak the AI system. And learning from Google Revolt case, I guess one of the solution directly came from there is every company has to create the atmosphere where their employees' concerns has to be answered, and their employees are capable of raising that concern, right? Because if many people think that is wrong, then company has to think on it, like why they are saying that is wrong. But another thing which we have to learn from Google case is guiding principle will not help. Guiding principle will not help. It will just act as a ethics washing, and the company will change some words. They will put ethical at n number of places. They will put fairness, transparency, and at number of places, and they will say that, see, this project is very ethical, right? But it can be used for multiple other ways. So of course, they are the two very practical takeaways from the Google case. Now, other potential way, which here I have not mentioned from where I have taken this solution. Maybe before sending, I will put it here. Now, what people are discussing that in the team of designers, right, who design the technology, along with the AI experts, there should be a philosophy or ethics experts also, because these are also kind of a puzzle as we discussed. They are not very simple to answer. There are multiple ways a problem can impact the society, and those people are the best to kind of address those issues. And once they raise this concern before making the product, we can actually use those information and give and train our model accordingly, right? So maybe in every AI company, they need to hire these ethical experts if their employees or the coders are not that much aware about it, right? And then they can brainstorm these things and then take proactive action. Proactive action in sense that not first create the fire and then create the fire extinguisher. We will know that there will be fire, so we will create the fire extinguisher before, right? So that whenever fires come, we can minimize that impact of that fire, right? So that's the proactive, and that can only happen when we will be knowing that what kind of thing may go wrong, right, before making the model, which is more or less very, I don't know how much practical it is, but it may happen in near future. You may see after 10 years or even 5 years, I don't know. People are moving very fast these days. So maybe companies will hire the ethical experts, or some companies might already have. But right now they're using it to just make those rules, not with the AI experts. And there are other ways also. And that way is called artificial general intelligence. And this is what now very big people in the AIs, they talk about it in the conferences. Artificial general intelligence. And what it does, if you see the ABCDE of it, you will find most of the things kind of similar than it was for normal artificial intelligence. Ethical concerns like responsibility should be there, transparency should be there, auditability, okay, incorruptibility, no one should hack it. But what is this predictability? What we want to predict, that is the bigger question, right? What we want to predict. So, and this is what makes the artificial general intelligence kind of ethical enough, or this predictability term can guide us to take ethical decisions. We will see that in next slide. So, oops, right. So AGI thinks like a human engineer concerned about ethics, and how it can do that. It can do by, and the main challenge in doing this is to verifying the safety. We have to verify the safety while creating the model, and that looks very odd because we can only talk about safety when we know that what my AI model agent is trying to do, right? That right now we don't know what the AI agent will be doing. There was a game where the bot played against you, the board game, and it got training, and then there are some steps, and then everyone was saying that the bot will go from here to there, because that's the best move. And then the bot did exactly opposite. Unpredictable. So that happens, right? Because that is also part of the AI system, that if people think this, then you have to find some other way. to beat the person, right? Because it's a game, you have to beat the opponent, right? So it's, in a way, we'll have to verify what the AI agent is trying to do. And that's a challenge, because we have to verify the safety, right? And if we can do that, if my AI model is, if we can predict what my AI agent is trying to do, then we can take a proactive action to stop that, so that none of the ethical rules can be violated. And if you see this, then all the weak AIs, here I have written it, oops, sorry. Yeah, all the weak AIs, which is implicit ethical AIs, which are already there in the market, they're very local and used for a specific work. And instead of calling them a artificial intelligence, some people also call them professional morons, because they can only do one thing. They're not intelligent. They are just a professional moron which can do only one thing. And then comes a strong AI, which is an explicit ethical, and its optimality is not local, its optimality is non-local. And this kind of AI has the capability of extrapolating the distant consequences of action. You understand what does it mean? It means if you take an action, then what kind of consequences your action may cause. If your AI system is able to identify that, and then you can get something predictable system, and then you can implement your ethical rules to that. Now the question is how to put these ethical rules, right? How to put these ethical rules in the AI system? Because if it is AI, it will need some training data set, right? It will otherwise, and how you will use the training data. So what if what people are trying to do these days, they are trying to come up with an ethical cognition thing. And it means there can be a engine, there can be a database where all these ethical rules, like there are multiple AI like training data set available, right? That here maybe the image data set, they have a lot of image data set, they have a lot of voice data set. So similarly, they can come up with a set of ethical rules that in whatever the case, whatever the use case, these are the ethical rules which everyone, every country will contribute towards. They will make a common database or a common engine or common license it. And if you are making your model, they can take this ethical license for their model, so that their model can also learn from this particular ethical data, right? Which is kind of in general data. So you can create your model, anyone else can create their model, and then as a database, an ethical database they are trying to create, which is right now at a very discussion level in the AI community. And I think within 10 years, there should be some sort of this kind of database will come, because right now neither government is highlighting or identifying the importance of these kind of activities in AI. Government is more concerned about, okay, if there is an AI, give me some weapons using which I can kill more and more enemies and save my border. Their focus is there. But I don't think AI is only that. AI is also in every house, right? This weapon is already in everyone's hand. So we have to talk ethically now, because we want to make machine as a human. So we will have to give them the human intelligence, not artificial intelligence. And maybe this ethical cognition thing may make your model a subject matter, your model kind of a subject matter expert or ethical expert of engineering. And that may help. So all these are open-ended questions. They are just some of the solutions, which along with what you may have already seen somewhere here and there, right? So I will now summarize it. So we have already identified or discussed the first thing which we discussed, the why ethics important in AI, right? Important in AI. This is the first thing which discussed. Sorry for my handwriting. This, you get what what I got, so no problem. Second thing is, once we got why ethics is important, then one of the most important thing, I guess, in today's lecture, we saw that, ethics washing. Right? Because most of the people are doing this, which we don't need. We need something which is technical and can be used to train my model to make it more ethical, that ethical cognition. And third thing is, some practical solutions, which may be AI expert plus ethical expert together, working on project, or ethical cognition system. Right? Maybe there are some other things also which can be taken up along with all your ethics washing thing. Ethic washing is also important because there are people who don't understand. They need to read it something, right? Everyone can't feel these things at the same level. So there need to be something which can be read. So all those rules, regulations, principle are also important. So I guess that's what I wanted to present today. Thank you very much, and I am open for any kind of question. Everyone slept, I guess. Looks like. Okay, yes, please tell me.
This was just a question which I was thinking of. So if we are about to design with ethical cognition in the near future, then in the meantime, the systems we design should again be redesigned to something that is more ethical. So that would be an even more challenging task.
Yes. So the problem is we already have kind of built the fire now. The fire is already there. So whatever we do, there will be some damage, right? So, but at least the one thing which we know is right now, even if AI is advanced, but not that much advanced that it can interfere in everyone's life on day-to-day basis, physically or even virtually, right? People are doing it, but still there is some sort of rules are also there. AI has to evolve a lot, and it will evolve a lot. And maybe if today we come up with the ethical cognition, then we can make those models better. Existing models, as I said, they are professional morons. They do one thing and they don't think about others. However, I guess maybe companies will come with a different version. They will ask you to install the updated version by training their model once again, so that they can't be hacked, or even if hacked, they can't be used for some different purposes which can be destructive, right? Or spamming thing, as simple as it is. If someone has hacked someone's email ID and they want and the hacker wants to spam a lot of people, then AI should know that no, even if you're hacked, you know my password, I will allow you to email, but I will not allow you to put n number of emails at once, right? I will not allow you to spam. So these kind of things, I guess, can be corrected, but of course 100% correction cannot be done with existing technology, but that's how we have grown. So, right, you got my point.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, anyone else? I guess everyone is like now sleeping, muted. So I have not seen anyone, so I don't know if you guys can turn on your cameras, then at least I can see you once in my lifetime. I will be I will be grateful to all of you if you can do that. At least I want to see whom I taught. I was not teaching a bot. I was teaching actual human. Oops. Yeah, thanks, Vikash. Everyone else, are you guys sleeping? Okay, yeah, great. Sai, Vikas, Abhishek, Ayush. Yeah, there are 3 others also. Okay, so I don't think you guys have any more question, but if you have, feel free to ask. We have still 9 minutes. Otherwise, I will hand it over to Professor Arun Arang again.
Yeah, thank you.